asked for an open marriage just for one girl's trip, but he gave me the coldest silence. I opened my mouth for freedom, and my husband closed his heart in return. Never in my life did I once imagine that asking for a hall pass would be the thing to break us. I only wanted an open marriage for one weekend. But then he did the worst thing ever to his wife. Most of you might be wondering why I had to ask what I asked. Here's why. My husband, Dan, and I'm 32, he's 35, have been married for 5 years. We have no kids. We are a career-focused couple. And honestly, things were good and stable. We respected each other. We knew how to handle conflict without yelling, and how to apologize, how to move on. And I loved that about us. I really do, especially because I wanted to always be in that kind of relationship, a peaceful relationship where trust and understanding is everything. Dan has been nothing short of a lovely husband. But then, one day, I found out something strange and unexpected. The first time I realized it was when I was returning from work. Yep, that's how it first started. When I walked past this gym one random evening, and there they were. These insanely ripped guys lifting weights. They were all focused, sweaty, with their muscles popping. You get the picture. I didn't even know what I was feeling exactly at the time. It wasn't like, oh, I'm into that, not consciously. But there was this weird pull, like something in me paused. And then, it just got worse. Or more intense, I guess. Like suddenly I started noticing it more at the park, online, and even in movies. My eyes would just go there without me even thinking. And every time it left me kind of confused, but also curious. It's hard to explain. It was as if I wasn't ready to admit anything, but my mind was already halfway down that road, dragging the rest of me along. You ever feel something before your brain has words for it? That was me, completely caught off guard. It got to a point where even hearing a random guy's voice, like just a deep voice on a podcast or some stranger talking in line, would do something to me. Or even watching runners jog past my house, I'd feel this rush in my chest, like a flutter I didn't ask for. It wasn't even always about how they looked. Sometimes it was just the presence, the energy. And every time I'd catch myself and think, what the hell is going on with me? So I panicked a little. I didn't want to feel that way. I didn't want those thoughts creeping in. I felt like I needed to fix it, to shut that door fast before it opened wider. So I started being more intentional with my husband, like trying to reconnect with him physically, intimately. More time in the bedroom, more effort, more everything. At the time, I thought, maybe if I pour more into this, into us, it'll drown out the noise. I was chasing a kind of control, like if I just focus hard enough, maybe I can unfeel everything else. Because I didn't understand what was happening and why I was starting to feel that way. Okay, so this part's a little wild. I ended up going to a male strip club one night because trying to get actively involved with my husband in the bedroom didn't help. So that's why I started reaching out for anything that would snap me out of it. That's how I ended up there. Honestly, I thought it'd be more fun and helpful than anything else. But once we got there, I don't even know how to explain it. The lights, the music, the way the guys moved with so much confidence, because they knew they were wanted. It was sensual, intense, and weirdly personal, even in a room full of people. And the craziest part is I felt alive and satisfied. I mean, just sitting there watching the strippers with my fully clothed self and not even being touched. Oh, that made me feel more satisfied, more turned on, and more seen in that 1 hour than I'd felt with my husband in the bedroom in months. And that messed with my head a bit, because it wasn't even about the physical stuff anymore. It was how in tune I suddenly was with this part of me I'd been trying so hard to shut down. Watching those dancers, it wasn't just about sex. I think it made me realize it had something to do with more desire, control, and freedom, things I didn't even realize I was starving for. So, I went back again after the first night. Not right away, but it didn't take long either. I kept thinking about it, the energy, the way I felt just being in that space, how alive it made me feel. It was like this secret little high I couldn't shake. So the next time I had a chance, I went again. And that night, I took it a step further. I paid for a private dance. I was nervous as hell, not gonna lie. My heart was pounding the whole time, but once it started, God, it felt good. And not just intimately, it was more emotional than I expected. It was similar to being touched and looked at like I was actually wanted, with no expectations of any sort and no baggage. And the weirdest part was I didn't feel guilty at that moment. I never did. I felt good and I felt powerful. And suddenly, I felt like I was in control of something I'd been scared of. Then came this work retreat, a 3-day thing at some resort. But out of the blue, I found myself getting distracted by coworkers I'd literally never even noticed before. Guys I wouldn't normally look at twice were suddenly catching my eye. And it's not as if they did anything special or different. They were still their normal self. But shockingly, the way one of them laughed and the way another rolled up his sleeves, those tiniest things were setting something off in me. It was honestly kind of embarrassing. I kept zoning out in meetings, feeling warm in my face for no damn reason. That's when it hit me that something was truly off. And that this wasn't just a phase or some random curiosity anymore. It felt like I was losing control of my own thoughts. And I didn't know who to talk to about it. I didn't want to talk to my friends, and definitely not my husband. So I did what anyone caught in a cycle and was quietly panicking would do. I turned to the internet. I started searching for stuff like how to stop being attracted to other men while married, or married, but can't stop thinking about guys. It felt ridiculous, typing it out, but I was desperate. I needed to know that I was not alone. I needed to know if someone, anyone, had felt like this too, and what the hell they did about it. While I was scrolling through forums and articles, I kept seeing people talk about open marriages like a lot. They were saying things like opening up our marriage actually saved it, or it helped me stay faithful because I wasn't bottling things up. Some even said stuff like monogamy isn't natural, or it takes more than 2 people to make a marriage last, and that made 0 sense to me at the time. I mean, I was already struggling with guilt and confusion. How was inviting more people into the equation supposed to fix anything? It felt like adding fuel to a fire I was barely keeping under control. So I just rolled my eyes, scrolled past, and shut the tab. That wasn't what I needed. I wasn't trying to blow up my marriage. I was trying to save it, or at least save me from ruining it. But even after I closed my laptop, the thought kind of lingered in the background. And it was definitely not because I agreed with it or whatever I saw online, but because deep down, if I'm being honest, I think I was starting to realize I didn't even know what I wanted anymore. A little while after that, I hung out with my girlfriends, just to clear my head, have some laughs, and pretend everything was normal for a bit. Although I didn't let them in on anything going on with me. And somewhere in between sipping cocktails and venting about work, we decided to move up the date for our girls' trip. It felt spontaneous, like something I needed at that point. A change of scenery, a break from everything. I had already imagined how fun the trip itself would be, but as we were discussing everything, I excused myself and went up to the bar alone to get a refill. And the way the bartender looked at me, I swear I almost forgot what drink I was even ordering. I got lost in his eyes. The thing is, his eyes were locked onto mine as if he knew something was up with me, and he could see right through all the pretending. There was this charged silence between us, and for a second, just a second, I imagined having him right there on the bar. But I didn't. I smiled, took my drink, and walked away like nothing happened. My heart was racing. My body wanted something more, someone, but my mind was holding on by a thread. Barely. As we were leaving the bar that night, I lagged behind a little, pretending to check my phone, stalling for no real reason. As if luck was on my side, I saw him, the bartender. He was standing off to the side, near the corner of the building, with cigarette in hand, casually blowing smoke into the night air like he had all the time in the world. My friends were already calling the cab, laughing about something behind me, but I barely heard them. I waved at them and mumbled a quick goodbye before walking straight toward the bartender. My heart was thudding in my chest. I don't even know what I was thinking. He noticed me walking up and gave me this half smirk. Then he asked me with a low and teasing voice what I was looking at. I didn't say a word. I just grabbed the collar of his shirt and kissed him, hard. It was heat and hunger and months of repression exploding all at once. His hands went straight to my waist, gripping me like he'd been waiting too. The way his lips moved, the way our bodies pressed together, it was electric and intense that I became wet, as if my body had already decided without me. But then somewhere in the middle of it, in the chaos of that perfect, messy moment, something snapped back. Reality, I think. I pulled away, breathless, still trembling, and without saying a word, I turned and ran away. When I got home, I completely shut down. I didn't go to work the next day. I didn't answer messages. I didn't even turn on the TV. This happened for 2 whole days, and for those days, I didn't leave the house. And that was because of this insane, overwhelming tension. My body felt like it was still buzzing from that kiss, like it had gotten a taste of something it wasn't ready to forget. I was so turned on, it was almost painful. To be precise, I was so horny and tense, and I couldn't sit still, couldn't think straight. And the scariest part was, I knew that if I went outside, if I even saw someone attractive, or if someone so much as brushed past me the wrong way, I might lose it. I was afraid of myself, afraid of what I might do. So I just stayed put and curled up under the covers, trying to get a grip. I kept thinking, how the hell did I end up here? This wasn't who I was, and definitely not who I thought I was. During these 2 days of staying at home, I tried my best to make excuses so my husband wouldn't even suspect a thing. Fast forward to Thursday, just a day before our girls' trip, and I'd been carrying this weight in my chest all week, and that kind of thing doesn't go away no matter how much you try to ignore it or push it away. So as soon as my husband walked through the door, I didn't give myself time to second guess it. I just pulled him into the living room and sat him down. I told him I needed to talk, that it was important. My heart was racing and my palms were clammy, and even though I had played the whole thing in my head a dozen times, it still felt like I was walking a tightrope with no net. I told him I needed his permission for something, and that I really needed him to try and stay open-minded, and then I just let it all out, how I'd been feeling, how I didn't want to cheat on him, but I was scared I might. That there was this tension in me that wouldn't let up, and this craving I didn't understand anymore. So I asked him if we could open our marriage, just for the girls' trip, just so I could scratch that itch and come back clear-headed. He didn't say anything, not even one word. He completely ignored me. He just stood up, quiet and slow, and walked into the bedroom. Then he closed the door behind him. I stayed there on the couch, completely still. I knew he wasn't happy about what I wanted, but we didn't talk that night. He didn't even seem like he wanted to speak with me about anything. The next day, I packed my bags and left for the trip like nothing had happened, even though inside I was a complete mess. The air felt heavier, and everything felt different. I didn't hear a word from him that morning, and I didn't leave a note. I think part of me was hoping he'd stop me, but he didn't, so I left. I half thought maybe he wanted me to do what the hell I wanted, but he didn't know how to spit the words out because they were painful. Once we arrived, I tried to keep it together. I really did. I smiled, took pictures, and played along, but my body was so tense, it felt like I was holding in a scream the entire time. My friends picked up on it almost immediately. They kept telling me to loosen up, to stop overthinking, to just enjoy myself. I wanted to, I really did, but I still felt like I was teetering on the edge of something. Then I saw one of my friends, someone I knew was in a relationship, kissing a guy she definitely wasn't dating. Boldly and out in the open. She had no shame. And weirdly enough, she wasn't the only one. It was like almost everyone had decided that whatever rules existed back home didn't apply there. That flipped a switch in me. In that moment, I told myself the oldest excuse in the book, it's better to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission. And that was it. I stopped holding back. And I let go completely, and I got so wild. That night, I had a threesome. It was wild and intense, and the crazy part was that it wasn't the only one. Once the dam broke, it was like I couldn't stop myself. Like every part of me that had been quiet, polite, and loyal just decided to take a vacation too, and never came back. When I got home after the trip, I was completely drained. My body was sore and my mind was foggy, with my emotions all over the place. All I wanted was a hot shower and to crash into bed for the next 12 hours. But when I got to the front door and tried my key, it wouldn't open. Our door had always been a little tricky, so I didn't think much of it at first. I jiggled the key, twisted the knob a few different ways, and even tried that lift and turn move that usually did the trick. But it still didn't open. My hands were trembling, part from frustration, and part from how tired I was. I gave it a few more tries before I snapped. I was too tired to care, too tired to overthink. I just found the smallest window by the side, grabbed a flower pot to crack it open, and climbed through. I told myself I'd deal with the mess later, and right now at that point, I just needed rest. But before I could even make it to the shower, I heard sirens. Police sirens. They stopped right in front of the house. My heart sank. I peeked through the broken window, and I saw that they were indeed in front of my house. The next thing I heard was the police outside asking whoever was inside to kindly step out. I was so disoriented I didn't even catch everything they said at first. Everything felt muffled, like I was underwater. That's when a thought came to mind, that someone must have called them, and I guess from the outside it really did look like a break-in. The only thing was, it was my house. I tried the door again, but it still wouldn't budge, so I figured the only way to communicate was through the broken window I'd climbed through. I leaned out and told them it was me, that I lived there. They told me again to come outside, so I did the only thing I could. I climbed back out through the window. My heart was racing, but I thought, okay, this will be fine. But as soon as I was out, they moved quickly. Hands on my arms, cuffs clicking tight around my wrists. They told me I was under arrest for breaking and entering. I was stunned. So shocked, honestly, I couldn't even find words. It felt like I was living someone else's nightmare. I kept thinking, how is this happening? I live here. This is my house. What is going on? Everything was spinning, and all I could do was stand there trying to make sense of the impossible. They drove me to the station, and the whole way there I kept explaining over and over that it was my house and that the door was just faulty and wouldn't open no matter what I did. But no one seemed to care or believe me. It was like I was invisible, just some stranger who'd broken in. I kept wondering which one of my crazy neighbors had called the cops on me. I mean, who else would see me climbing through a broken window and think, yep, that's definitely not their own house? At the station, I was finally allowed to make a phone call. I dialed my husband first, hoping he'd pick up and sort this mess out, but no answer. Then I tried my brother. He didn't answer as well. Then one of my friends from the trip, the one I thought might at least understand what was going on, but still no luck. With no one to vouch for me or bail me out, I ended up having to spend the night at the station. I was just sitting there, wide awake, replaying everything in my head, feeling more alone than I'd ever felt before. The next morning, it was my little sister who showed up to bail me out. She looked serious, like she'd been caught in the middle of some storm I hadn't seen coming. And as soon as I was out, she told me straight up that all hell had broken loose while I was at the station. I pulled out my phone to check, and sure enough, it was worse than I thought. I found out that it was my husband who had called the police on me. Not only that, but somehow he'd gotten hold of videos from the trip. Videos of me. I don't know how he acquired it, and he didn't keep it private. He posted them everywhere, in our family group chat, and the neighborhood group chat. I was numb. I couldn't understand how he even got the videos, or why he would do something so public and humiliating. My stomach dropped so far I could barely feel my legs. I hadn't even processed the arrest yet, and now this? Everything I'd been trying to hide, to control, was suddenly out in the open, broadcasted like a headline, and now it wasn't just between me and him anymore. It's everyone's business now. My sister kept asking me what happened, how things got so bad, and how it went from just being tired of a boring sex life to being plastered across WhatsApp groups like a viral scandal. I didn't even know how to explain it. I didn't even know what to say. She just drove me to her place. I just needed a place to lie low for a while. I broke down in tears. I was weakened by everything. I couldn't even believe what was happening. My husband did me dirty after ignoring me. For the fact that I cheated, I didn't know if I still had the right to be offended. My emotions were conflicted, and I still don't know what to do. He still hasn't said a word to me, and I don't know if to confront him or not. I'm just a mess and broken. It's not like I intentionally decided to cheat on him, but I guess no one would really understand. Update. Dan filed for divorce. He still didn't say a word to me directly, not even a text. It was my sister who told me. She said he told her he couldn't be with someone who lacked integrity, that I had invited whatever feelings I had for other men into the marriage, and that's why I couldn't feel satisfied with him anymore. That he couldn't tolerate that kind of energy in his life. So he was done, and he wasn't going to change his mind. Hearing that, it stung me in places I didn't even know could hurt. Because I know I messed up. I'm not sitting here trying to play the victim, but it wasn't like I set out to destroy anything. God knows I tried to talk to him. I tried to have a real, honest, and uncomfortable conversation. I told him how I was feeling. I told him I needed help. I asked for just one window to figure myself out before I did something stupid. But he gave me nothing but a cold silence. And now everything's exploded. He's painted as the heartbroken, betrayed husband, and I'm the reckless wife who blew up her own marriage. I'm the example, the one people are talking about in prayer groups and blocking in church WhatsApp chats. It hurts so much, and I don't just even feel anger anymore. I feel this deep, ugly ache. I can't face him. I can't even face myself. If he wanted to walk away, he should have just done that. He didn't have to burn the bridge behind him while I was still standing on it, and somehow I'm still the bad guy in his story. He is not the only one offended. I feel offended too. I feel broken. He didn't even stop for a second to think about how this would affect me. And to be honest, I just want to disappear, because I don't know how to live in this skin right now.